get to the next form. I guess that, excuse me, just before the pod started, I was just really in my head about different things that I wish I could be doing better, or that I believe I could be doing better. And maybe I was also kind of stressing about, oh, shit, do I even know how to, go from point A to B on some of these goals? For example, like I was thinking about, man, our social media presence, like on Instagram, for example, it's not. I would like I would like there to be more engagement, and for there to be more engagement, I need there to be more posts. But for there to be more posts, we need to do more podcasts. So I say all of this to say, sometimes we think about what we have to do as opposed to just doing the things we have to be doing. And when we get caught up in the thinking about it part, I do believe like that is a big source of the anxiety, the tension, the resistance that you feel when you want to do something creative. So I just tried to just breathe. I did some little like kind of like breathing exercises before because in the morning I set this whole setup, and this guy my brother, my bro host, he'll be in his room or whatever. He'll be upstairs, and we're in the garage. And so yeah, basically after setting this up, I just did some breathing exercises, sat down, thought, lightly meditated kind of, and just yeah, I was just listening to some YouTube videos and whatnot, but I was also just sitting here just kind of just collecting myself. And I say all this to say, you have to just start doing, and then through getting things done, you'll start to see the process actually unfold, and you'll start to see progress where you want to see it if you focus on those areas day in and day out. So just keep the process up, and we just gotta just keep it going. I just wanted to say that just because, like, yeah, I don't know how you feel, but sometimes well, I mean, it's a weird thing trying to quote unquote make it on YouTube. It's like I said this last pod, but it is just this fight of working against, okay, it's all zeros and then one, and right now it's this podcast, this venture, it's like virtually, I mean, not to start it on like a Debbie Downer. Maybe I am a Debbie Downer, but it's just like this podcast is a zero, but we have to like treat it like, all right, with some dedication and with some passion, even though it's not producing for us, like sometimes that can get scary. Sometimes that can get just kind of just not scary, but like maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. Just it could just drive up the anxiety. So I don't know how you feel, Nigel.
Uh, then honestly, for me, I don't know. It's a kind of weird thing with the whole pod. Like as they say when you podcast, it just kind of seems like it's just for me. I don't know. It just seems like it's just me and this dude just talking. But then again, there's just a there's actually a lot more to it, as in like again the view counts and engagement and people liking, subscribing, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of thought on that, and I think that could cause anxiety because it's just like we're just doing this, and then what you see is like, okay, how can we produce this to the point where it could be maybe even viewed higher, or maybe more, just more
Not see.
comments
Here's the
and
thing. It's
stuff like
like
that.
not maybe. It's like we necessarily want more views. We want more views.
Right.
You know, but it's just the process of getting more views, and it's not only consistency, because the consistency thing is like one aspect, but it's also the content has to get better. We have to sort of grow and shift. So I guess I'm just saying that in terms of I've been thinking about ways to maybe shift this content I want us to continue doing it the way we're doing it, but I'm also open minded to say, what if we just partook in like a different format where, like it's, especially I've just been thinking more so in the more edited space. Working more on my editing, working more on, okay, well, we have these opinion pieces. Can we get some kind of like visual to accompany, or or like I don't know, man. I don't know. Because another thing too is like the podcast format, week in and week out, looking for new ideas and things to talk about. How do you feel about doing that, Nigel? Like, how do you feel about how it's been going?
Uh, Honestly, I think it's been well, in my opinion, I think it's been going pretty well. Like just looking for things to talk about because there's always stuff to talk about. I just you know, me personally could put more effort into looking for things to talk about, topics and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think it's just something that you got to work on and just tune, and that's part of the process of like getting viewer count. Because if you can find something that you're very interested in, and you could just talk about it and have a conversation with somebody with, or even get a guest or whatever the case is, you know, that could all like just spike the view count. I don't know. Like I think these are
But
ideas.
like away from the view count, away from engagement and all that. Like just how do I guess what I'm asking is like, okay, so you kind of hit it. You say you think you could give more effort in terms of finding videos and whatnot, but it's just it doesn't even stop there. It doesn't stop at finding topics and whatnot. It doesn't. That's the scope of production. It doesn't stop there, and I don't know. Maybe it's too early to say this. I just look at this podcast and I go, let me take this off the screen. I look at this podcast and I really honestly just look at it and I go, okay, in a year's time, what does this look like? You know, in a year's time, if we're doing 2 episodes a week, what does this look like? In my head, at the rate we're going, I don't see, um, I guess I don't see the sort of like I've been talking about, okay, the benefit of the podcast is to see the benefit, the growth and the change and the adaptation, but at the same time I do not see how we can really up the production value so much from the live standpoint. A lot of things come in post, and I think especially when we're talking about just YouTube content in general. Twitch is a different kind of bag. If we're here Wednesday and Saturday, every Wednesday and Saturday, and people can expect that, we can generate an audience from that. But YouTube, it even takes more than just simply have clips. So I guess, like you said, one thing is very key. Through the topics that we find interest in, we can find guests. We can branch out and things like that. I think that those sorts of moves are we have to focus on that. We have to focus on how can we um I guess contact more people, touch more people, see more people, just be it, just affect more people. How do we affect more people? Um Rather than just I just I'm just saying, like, we need to treat this uh like it's a baby that needs to be fed, and needs a lot of like just resources and just real thought and creativity on how do we just how just I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying.
To how do we like build podcasts, right? Like just literally as a baby, from a
Yeah.
baby into like something that's actually, you know, impactful to the people around us and beyond.
Yeah, I don't care about the people around us at all. That's the thing. Like more so I would rather choose an audience that like more so like you said before, like that and that's another thing. I just want to be clear about why we're doing this podcast and also just who we are serving. You know, like we have to sort of corner our audience. We have to sort of look at them and say, we're here for you. We're here for you. We're not just here Wednesday and Saturday, but we're here Wednesday and Saturday with this. And you can count on it. And I want to be that for some audience. I do. I really do. But I just need I don't know. I need more I wouldn't just say input from you, Nigel, but I would just also say like for myself, I need to I don't know. I don't know. Like I need to either clear some of my other interests and focus more on this or just live life normally and then just leave this cuz that's my thing. I don't know. I was talking to you I'm on a stream of consciousness, but I was talking to you about that one streamer NMP Lol. Now it's Nick and Melina on this channel and they're a couple and day in day out for their audience they provide people, hey, we're just starting our morning, we're going to cook, we're going to eat. You guys get to see that. We have dogs. We live with other streamers. That's cool. Like that I I feel like in just deciding they make their content on purpose. Right now, we're on purpose doing the consistency, but the substance of it, it's kind of like we're winging it. And nah, no, because if you really look at all the top dogs, they're not winging it. They're looking at who are we, what do we provide, how best do we provide it, and then we just go. We don't look at what everybody else is doing. We focus on what we're doing, and I guess that's what I'm kind of trying to say. Where it's like this podcast, we need to start. I was just thinking about it, like if you look at the black screen that we have here, and yo, Thirst to Kill, I see you in the chat. I'm gonna look at what you said, but if you look at the black screen that we have right here, right, it's the two of us, but like large. What I want to one day see is like a sort of branding where, okay, you see my interests under me, you see your interests under you. That's what we bring, and every Wednesday and Saturday, that's what you know what we're gonna likely chop it up about. At least that's kind of one vision, but I don't know. I don't know, man.
No, I think no, I hear you, man. I think you're trying to hit on to the like we gotta focus on what we have our interest in and build on that to have a core audience on to the like have a core audience of people we speak to based on our core interests.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
right. And that we bring that like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, like we bring that every Wednesday and Saturday and people will start to know us by that. Like this is what NW, Nigel, and this is what Giles Rogue, Nathan bring to this podcast, and this is their audience that they're trying to build together.
Yeah. And I mean, sort of like kind of getting away from the effect of everything. Like this is them, and like um, just kind of like more focusing. Like for us, we have to more focus on okay, how do we actually
Give that.
show people what our interests are, what are our interests? What are they? Like just so that we can get them on a few bullets. And I was really thinking about it, like, what the hell am I interested in? Legitimately, like, what would I put on my side? Like, if it had like my face or my head or some likeness of me, right? And then it just said Gyres Rogue, right, on one side, and then under me it said 3 bullet points of like gaming, lifestyle, sex. Like just like 3 mainline bullet point interests. Like, what the hell are people coming here for? And I really thought about it. Like, son, I've been kind of just selling myself. That's like this nebulous Gyres Rogue figure, but that is nothing to anybody. It's something to me, but it's really nothing to anybody. And I've just been thinking, like, we need to start, and even in my own content, I'm just gonna just start just doing things on purpose. Like, what do people come to me for? And it's just, and it goes in hand with what I told you. Like, and Thirst to Kill, who's here in the chat, twitch.tv/Gyres Rogue, if you're listening to this after the fact, he can attest. For pretty much all this year, or not all this year, but all last year, I would get on stream and I would just go on Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I would just go into search and destroy matches, and man, honestly, I would get a mixed bag. But a lot of it was toxic, a lot of it was racist, a lot of it was xenophobic, a lot of it was homophobic, transphobic, etc. From other people, that is, not me, but I'm just saying I would combat those vibes mostly with anti-toxic / I just would combat these sorts of people. Now, the streams themselves honestly were boring because they're so long. There's like match downtime. There's some matches that are not exciting where nobody's talking and it's full focus. But for those few clips where I was getting into true rivalries with people, I should have been okay saying, okay, this is what clearly when some people are tuned in, this is what they enjoy from this. Obviously, people like compilations. I'm not so into compilations. I got to get into it now. And honestly, I just look at like I'm just looking at content like, okay, I cannot just get on and wing it. There's just no more getting on and winging it. And little things like that of just doing things on purpose, like clipping and making compilations and maybe even setting like okay, here's how long I have to stream a day, every day, or every 5 day, or every like 5 or every business day, let's say. Take the weekend off, whatever. Like, I'm just thinking about things in a more sort of business regimented way where it's like, okay, we just have to set some hours up. We have to set some parameters on goals that we have to hit as far as, okay, here's the kind of output that we're going to give. And then honestly, along the way too, we have to be creative. We have to kind of take some risks. We have to try some new stuff. And it can't, Nigel, really just be me doing all of that in terms of like this podcast. So I would that's just it's there's the open canvas for you to work. You know.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, yeah. I don't really know how to answer this on the pod. I can't lie. Or I can't. I don't.
Well, there's no question. But let me ask you this. Let me actually form it into a question, right? Like, where do you see a year of doing the podcast? And have you ever looked that far out when thinking about this venture?
Uh, to be honest, no, I have not. I've just been focused on getting it the consistency. I don't know. I've been really stuck on that. Just like try to get better in my speech and what I'm talking about day in each podcast. But no, I've not been looking into like, oh, how is this podcast gonna look into the next year? I've been looking at, okay, from this episode to that episode, how can I just change my approach? How can I change my demeanor? How can I
And that's
how
and
can I like really give out my specific interests, like One Piece or Fable or like gaming and stuff like that, or basketball? Like, how can I really get these topics down and get them out to the people that I need to. Like, just how can I fluently do that in a more just it just in a more in a flowed way, like just in a more ease way that just sounds just like, okay, like this guy really has a understanding of these things. Like he's not just spouting, he's not just going on a whim, he's not just picking out the conversation on the top of his head or anything like that. Like, just be more specific on what you're talking about, like, or just more, yeah, like you said, just more.
Yeah, and I won't lie, man. Speaking on a podcast is it's a change from speaking in conversation, regular conversation. You have to be very clear. You have to be, like you keep saying, very specific. You have to try to actually make it so that not only you're expressing that you understand the topic, but you have to try to help other people understand it as well. And I do think, honestly, like, that is one thing we can both get better on, where we'll be so excited about explaining something, and then it's just like no, you gotta have to like slow down and say exactly what you're saying bit by bit, just in case there's somebody who's going, wait, what? Like, you could, you know, yeah. So what are some just concrete things you think like, if you just at the top of your head, what are things that you think the podcast could be? How do you think the podcast could be better? Like, when you listen to other podcasts, what do you think you see over there that you don't see over here? Or you don't hear? Or you don't, the vibe? Because I listen to different podcasts from you. And I know kind of what I want to bring to it, to this. Like, I was saying, like, the little intro, the Rambling Rowgh Show, like some kind of like fucking ridiculous ass like intro, and just, or even just like, if you think Rogan, the Joe Rogan experience, like that shit at the beginning of every fucking clip, bro, that shit's iconic. Like that shit, that just stands you out and apart. It just makes it's just one of those little things that, like,
the intro is a good thing, but having an idea for the intro, is that what you're saying? Like,
well, not for the intro, just in general on the podcast. What do you think is missing, or
I think an intro it is very key for the podcast. Like, us having some kind of intro definitely is something we are missing, because
for the beginning of episodes, or
for just for the start of the podcast, like an actual, like, just
full episode.
Yeah, like when the episode starts, like we on YouTube, like we just have the Rambling Rowgh, like something that just hits the soul that people can just remember. Because the other podcasts I listen to, like Joe Budden, and you got Through the Wire, like they do have their own like little intro they do every time they get on the camera. Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's something that just keeps you remembering, like, okay, that's their little jingle. That's what they do. Like, this is them. Like that. I think that really gives you an identity. Like, that's one thing that can give you an identity in the podcasting world, as I can see. And any other things? There's the intro.
When was the last time you actually listened to the podcast?
To the podcast fully?
Or just any clip?
The last time was the last video.
And what'd you watch?
I watched the One Piece talk. It was a One Piece clip of last week's.
So you went to the full episode?
Is it a clip? I believe.
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
What was the last thing you watched?
I believe it was a One Piece clip. Yeah. It was a One Piece clip video on YouTube.
From when? And when was this?
This was like a week ago.
Oh, that's not the last video we put up, though.
Yeah, no.
The last video we put up was from Wednesday. Today's Saturday, and that was from Wednesday.
Yeah, no.
We had a One Piece talk in that, too.
No, I didn't.
The reason why I'm asking is just because that's the glaring hole. If you don't listen to the podcast, you don't know what we even are in the now. So you can't really have a vision of what we could be. You get what I'm saying? Like if you don't even know what we are today, you don't know what track we're even on. Like you don't
Okay,
see
now
it.
yeah, that makes sense.
Now, here's the thing. You do watch other podcasts though, right?
Yes.
So my thing is just like if you don't necessarily want to watch this pod, okay. But I would implore you to do at least this. When watching other shows, when looking at other content, you have to see you have to take things from that and you have to bring this up. Like you have to be forthright. Like we have to look at what works and implement it into what we do. We can't just keep doing what we're doing and just punch it in. Like it just doesn't like like it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Yeah. So I would say honestly, yeah, bro, you got to listen to the podcast in some way, shape, or form.
You're right.
Um, because it does come out weekly. It comes out bi-weekly. Shit, it comes out twice a week, and it gives you a different perspective of how to like actually look at how to help the podcast. Because then you look at it and then you're like, oh shoot, take note. This is something that we can't do on next episode, or that's something that we can do on next episode, or whatever. It just right now feels like I'm just kind of trying to fight this by myself. And honestly, like here's the thing, Nigel. Like, I brought you into this journey for the pod because it's just like, okay, I want to do a podcast, and I have done it by myself before. If you actually look up the Rambling Rowgh Show, you'll find old videos from like 2017, 2018, me just talking to myself, just literally just diary entries, pretty much. But I was looking at it, I was like, yo, the format of the pod where you have like a pod and friends, like it's you and a guest and it's like a co-host or whatever, that's fun. That's cool. Like that's something that I enjoy, so I want to try it. But here's my thing. It's just like for my co-host, I do need you to pull the weight of being the co-host. And then and honestly, as we're building this, it just requires more attention, man. It just requires more input in general. And I'm not saying I don't want you to be the co-host. I'm just saying that is really the reality. We can't really expect anything out of this if we're just me giving it whatever percent I have left of after all the other ventures and stuff, and then you just punching it in and just being here for the pod and just the pod. It's just like
Right. Yeah.
it
No.
it won't go anywhere. Cause and I know you're not thinking about it a year past, and I know you're thinking about it from pod to pod,
You're right.
which is great, and that's. But you do sort of have to add that other layer of, hey, what does this look like in a year, and what do we have to start doing to make it look like that? Ask yourself those questions, and also, I mean, yeah, just be honest with yourself and just ask and just say yeah, and then I had the further question, like, is this even something that you like? Is any of that something that you would want to do? Any of that what I just said, like, just okay, you got to start listening and like asking yourself questions about the pod, how to get better, and like how to actually brand it better, and looking at the Instagram, just getting involved more. Is that any of what you want to do? Because if it's not, like, you know,
Yeah, it's
let me
something
know.
that no, it is something I want to get into. It is. I just like you said in the beginning of the podcast. It's just I don't know. It's just the whole like thinking, and then that builds anxiety on the whole thing of like, oh, should on doing things. So it's just better just to do it than
Yes.
to think so hard about it. But yeah, no, it's something I do want to do. I do want to grow the podcast and figure out ways to to make it better, so we can, just yeah, man. So yeah, just to make the podcast better, and we can have a better situation, mics, whatever, guests, however the case is. Like, I, I don't know how else to explain it, but I mean, yes, it's something I do want to
Well, well,
like.
well.
Like
I feel like you're
the
trying to explain it, but my thing is just like, like, you're not. You have nothing to explain.
It,
You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to listen to the pod.
yes.
And then from there, then you would know what we could be audible, changing, doing, what we should be doing, taking out, taking in, putting in out.
Which is wild because like I I did listen to one podcast this one time, and I did have some input into it because like you just start to hear just think, but you just start to hear things of what you're saying and what your co-host is doing, and then you just like you just look at it like, oh, we could tweak that, we could tweak that, like I don't know. So yes, listening to the podcast is a key step for sure. Is a one big step for me to start seeing more changes, seeing what we could do to like grow it. Seeing,
I'm sorry. You saying? Go.
yeah, seeing how we can grow the podcast, like just like watching it. But I don't know. I have a like I need to just get over the fact of hearing my own voice. I don't know. I just have this thing like I do not want to hear myself. But
It's common. I didn't
uh,
want to hear myself either. I got around listening to the pod for a long time. Um, and I guess that's where the rubber hits the road. It's just I got around to listening to the pod for a long time, but practice makes perfect. Week in and week out. Maybe I'll listen to it in bits, and then it grew into. Eventually, I could just literally once we're done taping, I'm going to listen to this podcast in 1.5 to 1 point or to 2 point speed. Timestamp it, done. Like it's I've gotten over it. But we've been doing this twice a week, every week. So that's one of those like, okay, in about a month's time, 2 months time, I should just those little goals of and I'm gonna just tell you like the reason why I'm stressing this is just because Nigel again I can't stress this enough, as this is a group venture. If we want it to succeed, we gotta come at it with even just holding an even amount of weight, or if not even, at least just an amount that's like it just helps out a decent load where it's not just leaving the other guy
yeah,
doing
nah,
too much or work. Not like, we need to be a team.
yes, uh, yeah. Now you are right. I do. It's just me thinking so much. But yes, I need to put more effort into this podcast. It's not just one person. I'm the co-host. I got more. It's a responsibility to it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I want to embrace I want to embrace more of the responsibility, as in like shit, you know, post Instagram post and seeing how that goes, and maybe or not maybe getting more into Twitter and stuff like that, asking like you said the whole hashtag Ask Rambling Rogue, seeing if people interact with that, seeing how that goes, and just little ideas that we've been.
Yeah, making the Twitter is definitely on the priority list. I got to get over my hump on that. I've made the Rambling Rowgh Show clips page, so we have another YouTube page for specifically for clips, and we're gonna be posting to that, and that's gonna be the page that we take stuff and put it over to Instagram. But yeah, I've got a hold up on Twitter. Twitter is just nasty. Twitter is just disgusting. It's like it's such a fucking cesspool. Everybody is trying to get out and just cut everybody else's jugular, and it robs people of their humanity. I truly believe that. I truly believe that, and I truly believe that like if you're easily impressionable, like I am, I mean I just know that about myself. Like if something falls into the categories of shit that I like, I'm gonna gravitate towards it. Full stop. I mean, I'm not going to ask many questions. I'm going to look at it for what it is, and I'm going to gravitate towards it. Twitter takes a person like me, and it gets them into these little echo chambers where they get so mad, and they get so sarcastic, and they get so, like, just detached from nuance and seeing people or things or experiences as, I don't know. I'm sorry for going down this Twitter rabbit hole, but, yo, Speaking of making changes and whatnot, though, here's the